Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Welcome to another week with myself, the wrap up with Jamie Talks. Wasn't here last week. Apologies for that, guys. But I'm back as normal. Lots to talk about. Firstly, let's get in the comments, see who's in the chat. We've got a few comments to go through already. Good to have you here, Mark. Evening, mate. Hard times at the moment. You can say that again. David Harris wouldn't waste the money on the fair, let him walk. I think that means Dave wants him out. Good evening, everyone. He needs to go big time. I hope we get a good manager in. Who would you bring in, Jay, out of interest? Randy, always in here with the comments, top man. All right, Jamie, even if Lopetegui finally goes, we can't applaud Sullivan for finally putting the trigger. He has to change his mindset when it comes to the right head coach we can get behind. Okay. Again, which I mean is in short, appoint the right ambitious choice or will be fine, goes cheap and uninspiring again there. Then there will be more unrest very quickly, could become Bernie 2.0. Right. Jan, evening. Chris the Hobbit, good evening. Right, that's all the comments for now. I will get something in here as well. Does Lopetegui need to be sacked? I want to know, guys. This is what the show is going to be about today. Julian Lopetegui. It has not gone right so far for him at West Ham, has it? I think last night was really the cherry on the cake. In 7 days a week, we win that game. Like in any other kind of night, we probably walk away as winners of that game. But it's just sod's law at the moment that obviously we've had 30 odd shots on goal and still come away as losers in the game. I think West Ham were desperately unlucky, and I do think the 3-1 scoreline does flatter Leicester to an extent. But we are getting towards this being a bit of a crisis at West Ham, and we're losing too many games for it to go unnoticed. Like I say, losing this badly to Leicester is kind of borderline unforgivable. Who did, to be fair to them, they did look more organised under Ruud van Nistelrooy, obviously in his debut game, but to concede so early in the game, 2 minutes in, it's just borderline unforgivable, and it's getting to a point now where the sacking of the manager is almost starting to feel inevitable. I'm never really the type of fan to call for a manager's head. And I don't even know if I am saying that about Lopetegui, because in an ideal world, I would love him to turn it around. But we are getting to a point where it's just not good enough. And we're losing to teams that we should be beating. Leicester are down the bottom of the table, and rightfully so. They've been awful all year. And who knows, they could turn it around under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Time will tell. But last night was just a cherry on the cake. I think the Arsenal game highlighted all the issues that we had against Newcastle, but Newcastle weren't clinical enough to score goals. Like you look at the amount of chances that Isak had in that game, for example, and Newcastle and Arsenal. The two differences between them were Newcastle didn't take their chances and Arsenal did. On another night, Newcastle, Isak would have had 3 goals in the first half. So, and the game would have been out of reach again. So there's a lot to talk about with West Ham, and I do think like it's getting to a point now where the manager's going to have to go, and everyone wants to talk about David Sullivan and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like we deal with the cards that we've been dealt at the moment, and unfortunately, it's just not going right. But let's get into the comments anyway. Will be good to hear what you guys think. 1 second. Bear with me, I'm just getting up some stats. I've also got all the games going. Do you know what I mean? I think ultimately, just to talk a little, I will get into the comments. Sorry, guys. I've just got my head's going in a million different places at the moment when I talk about West Ham. So it's just, I think going into that game, I don't think Sullivan or the players or Lopetegui ever saw it as a game that West Ham could potentially lose. And we've come out of it as, comfortable losers. Let's be clear. We did enough to win the game. So we didn't do enough to win the game, but had enough shots on goal. Nothing was clinical. And the ball went everywhere but the net. But we've come out, losing 3-1 away to a relegation kind of destined team. They may turn it around. But yeah, I think we went into that game kind of anything but a win was unacceptable. And it doesn't matter really that we were unlucky in certain aspects because Leicester were poor and they scored 3 goals. West Ham are always going to be fighting in games and always trying to get back into games because ultimately we're going into every game and we can't defend. There's been other sides that have kind of made sackings and have kind of buoyed on as a result. You look at Man United and you look at obviously Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in at Leicester as one in his debut. I just think Lopetegui, unfortunately, is just the wrong fit. I was very excited about the incoming of him because I thought he, as much as I always knew he was pragmatic like David Moyes, I thought he would bring a slightly different style of play. But honestly, some of the work I've been to, I think I've been to all home games apart from the Man United game this year. I haven't done any away games yet because I've been too busy with work. But it's some of the worst football I've ever seen in my life. And I know everyone used to say that about David Moyes being, bottom of the barrel type stuff. But at least we had a chance to win games. At the moment, we go watch West Ham, and I feel like we just don't have a chance to do anything in the game. And it's just, unless there's something special from a football player, something special from one of our star players in inverted commas, then we're not getting anything into it. And, goals in the last couple of games have had to come from our wing backs, Wan-Bissaka doubled his career tally at West Ham, and it is our right back who isn't known for that, is having to score goals when he shouldn't have to. It's just, the whole thing bloody stinks. Or Liverpool nearly scored. Right. But yeah, I'm very disappointed with the state of things at the moment. Anyway, let's get into the comments. Lots of comments to get through here. So, I asked you all: does Lopetegui need to be sacked? Is there anyone to keep him in the club? I am interested. MGK says Sullivan and Brady need to go. Rot starts there. Thing is, though, mate, it's just not feasible. It's not going to happen. So the manager's going to go. Mark Pendleton, yes. Jan Phipps, yes, please. Very polite of you. I appreciate it. Lee Heisman, yes. Phil, he's got a fall on his sword. There's another story coming up that Sullivan is getting cold feet. Supposedly that's from Graham Bailey. That will be a joke from Sullivan if true. Chris the Hobbit, yes, 100%. How are we so poor with some good players? I agree with you, Jan. Leicester moised us. They bloody did. They actually did. Gorgeous is here and I'm better looking than our league position. All right, top man. I don't rate Lopetegui and feel he needs replacing, but some of the players need to look at themselves. Far too many mistakes. Sean, you're speaking a lot of sense there, mate. Martin, how difficult is it to be a top manager? Both the new Brighton and Liverpool managers have been brilliant. Why can't we do the same? I would actually go as far to say that I think most mid-table Premier League managers right now would probably be doing a better job than what Lopetegui is doing for us. Obviously Arne Slot is doing a cracking job. He's come into the league, he's taken it by storm, but he has, inherited a very strong Liverpool side in that Jurgen Klopp left behind. And he's had to install a slightly different, more reserved style of play. But, as much as I'm impressed with him, I think I think he was always going to do a job because he is a manager of high quality. But, other Premier League managers in the league, I look at people like Sean Dyche or Thomas Frank or Fabian Hertzler or Unai Emery or Kieran McKenna or Gary Neal or maybe even Oliver Glasner or Ruud van Nistelrooy, all these kind of managers that are operating at the kind of level in the Premier League. I do see a lot of them doing a better job than Lopetegui right now, and I always feel like when you think like that, it is a bit worrying. So yeah, it's I think it's very hard to be a top manager, and I don't think there are many top managers out there. Maybe a handful at most, but I think we're finding out about Lopetegui that he may not be equipped to deal with this West Ham squad. And I'm not saying he's a terrible manager because he's clearly done good things in the game before, especially in Spain, but haven't seen enough of it at West Ham. And I think he needs to, I think a sacking is becoming inevitable. I think I can't see him getting sacked before the Wolves game. I just can't. I think obviously the board are taking 72 hours or whatever to have a meeting. Great. But I don't know if he'll be sacked before the Wolves game. If they take 72 hours and they sack him on Friday or Saturday, who's going to take charge of us on Wolves? It's so backwards. Mark, my worry is I don't trust Sullivan to appoint the right head coach. There's another problem. I'm not necessarily slighting Sullivan, but I think to myself now, who do you bring in? Like everyone and their dog on Twitter is like claiming to be like a football pundit or like football expert, and they're talking about bringing in like the Portuguese manager like Cohen Sao and everything as if they watch the Portuguese league. Or it's just they don't. The vast majority of people, it's just that they see a name and it's exotic and they want to bring him in. So I don't know who I'd bring in. I don't know who Sullivan would bring in, but that's not my job as a fan, I suppose. Steve, yes, in my opinion, the players are not happy and something is clearly going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Possibly. Randy agrees with you, Mark. I don't trust him. He is under massive pressure, though, mate, if he does not act. He's having bust up with players. Today we're being the latest. I think yesterday just highlights how weak our squad depth remains. There was a positive, actually, that Fulku, come back from injury, gets a goal from the bench. William Sullivan going to divot and divot. He will delay and delay until it gets more toxic and then blames the fans. I'm surprised he didn't go until it gets more toxic, but I know what you're saying there, mate. Colin Chilvers, good evening, Jamie, mate. Good evening, Colin. I had said it after the Chelsea game that he was not the right man, and look where we are now. We should have gone a while back. I feel the board have already made the decision. If they have, why is it taking so bloody long? Either he's in a job or he's not. I'd rather just know, I hate this nick. I've got to say, guys, I bloody hate this nickname that West Ham fans called him. I hate Loppy. I hate having to read it. Every week I come in here and I read Loppy. It's always been J-Lo or Lopetegui. I bloody hate Loppy. I suppose it's easier to write, isn't it? But Loppy has had some time before officially taking over to learn what our squad could do and get them playing. He seems to put square pegs in round holes, technically inept. Wolves losing 4-0 to Everton might sack Gary O'Neill if this carries on. Well, I'll take Gary O'Neill. Wolves getting an arse kick tonight. Honestly, it's a 6-pointer next Monday, isn't it? Too many errors. Playing a high line with no pacey defenders being the obvious one. I think you're on something there, David. Mark Watson, the fans are united here. We all want him gone. Put Noble in as temporary manager and go for Cohen Sao. I just don't know enough about Cohen Sao. And I know Mark Noble, West Ham legend, will love the club and whatnot, and I imagine get the players wanting to play for the badge, but is he a football manager? I don't know, Ballon Dawson, 2 own goals tonight. Personally, I'd like Stuart Pearce, but I don't think he would accept. So Kevin Owen is worth a punt assisted by Nobes. Yeah, maybe. Correct, Mark, but Lopetegui won't go until Sullivan pulls the trigger. Lots of people agreeing with Mark. Otherwise, he will be in the trouble with us as fans, mate. I've stopped watching West Ham live at London Stadium now because we're shit. Come on, Stu. Thick and thin, we've got to watch them. Wolves may be getting their asses kicked tonight, but even they will believe they can beat us. I hate being made to think like that. Do you know what, Steve? You're on to something there, mate. And it's like what I was saying earlier. It's tough going to watch West Ham at the moment because I'm going into games and thinking we can't win at all. It's almost like I sit down at the start of the game we quite quickly go 1-0 down, and then I've got no faith in us bringing the game back. It's like I sit there twiddling my thumbs for 80 minutes, watching us pass it around our midfield, or losing the ball in our midfield when Paquetá gives it away, or we give away a penalty, or something. Some inept mistake is caused. I feel for all the West Ham fans that were there last night who had to, travel 2-3 hours down to Leicester to concede in 2 minutes, and then never really do anything for the rest of the game. Had a few shots, but didn't really do enough. But it is making it hard to watch West Ham, and I'm a West Ham fan through thick and thin. I've seen us get relegated multiple times in my life. It's been a West Ham fan, isn't it? But it isn't particularly enjoyable, especially after the high points that we've tasted over the last few years. But I think we all do lack perspective as well when we you talk to any football fans that are outside the West Ham fan base. I think there's a resounding kind of message from a lot of people saying, be careful what you wish for. And it's very hard to listen to that at every juncture as well. Kevin Nolan on 5 Live tonight. Fair play. Old man. Sully waiting to drop in bottom 3, then sack for free. Okay. I thought everyone wanted possession, attacking football with plenty of shots on goal. Apparently no one cared if we lost like that. Oh, that sounds familiar, Dan. Josiah Green Moth. I would get Sergio Cohen Sal. Tell me if I'm saying that name wrong, by the way. Josiah. Evening. That man needs to go. Losing 5-2 to Arsenal, then 3-1 to Leicester. Come on, West Ham. Wake up. Say goodbye. Frank. Straight to the point there, mate. We'll sack O'Neill when they get a new manager's bounce and beat us Monday. Imagine they sack O'Neill tonight and then we appoint O'Neill if we sack Lopetegui. That'd be funny. Chrissy, 2 of the slowest centre-backs in the league being protected by 2 slowest midfielders in the league. Who decided playing that? If we'll sack O'Neill tonight, bearing in mind they have so many Portuguese-speaking players, they may pinch him off us. Not that Sullivan would appoint him anyway. Randy, right. Jamie, I'm sure you agree getting the right coach in should be the utmost importance at the club. Can ill afford to get another coach appointment wrong twice in the same season. It will be not a good look. You're right, mate. You're right. Concesal. Okay. Here we go. Daniel. Hi, Jamie. Question. Do you think Sullivan thought J-Lo would be Moyes 2.0 playing a high line with no low block, less appeasing fans and having less pressure? Well, that went well. No, I do think Sullivan was taking a bit of a Newcastle had just scored 3-0. I do think Sullivan probably knew he was taking a bit of a sideways step, but it seems like a bit of a downgrade now on David Moyes. But I do think Sullivan probably knew that he was getting in an equally pragmatic manager, but I do think he probably had the style of play in mind. Obviously, when it got to the end of the David Moyes tenure, I think the narrative around the fans and the noise from the media was a little bit too loud to kind of ignore. And clearly, he was always going to bring in a new manager. Do I think he probably anticipated it would go this badly? If he did, I don't think he would have brought the manager in, Would you prefer Loopy, Jamie? Yeah, let's go for it. Jamie, mate, they have made their mind up now. I just feel these few days is getting right coach and talking to them. I hear Coensal, Allegri, Holman, Danish coach, Kudus paid for him. Yeah, let's swap managers with Wolves. Fair. If he was replaced, then it would be a cheap option, which I've never understood. It's like an F1 team spending millions on a car and getting your nan to drive it. Yeah, my nan is a good driver, to be fair, but I know what you're saying. Loppy is too sloppy. Could be 3 managers sacked in the next 3 days. Sullivan will give the job to Greg Wallace. Mate, at least the players are going to eat well. Call him Ploppy. Will Sullivan ever stop interfering with things he knows nothing of? Colin, Randy, speaking to Colin over here, mate, I am struggling to keep up with you guys tonight. So many comments, appreciate it. Got up to 300 people in here at the moment. Colin, I hope the club will get it right because they will get even more backlash if they screw this up again. Otherwise, it's plain incompetence, mate. Peter Chelmsford, at least that Muller bloke isn't winning the league. Hodgson in talks tonight. Roy Hodgson. Sullivan needs to go. We must get the next appointment right, otherwise we'll turn it to Watford. I think Michael Carrick would do a good job for us because he knows the club. Stu, I think I agree with you there, mate. No way. Sorry, I'm watching the Newcastle Liverpool game, and I think Newcastle just got a pen, or is that? It's 3-3, 91st minute. It looks like Liverpool. We might be getting a penalty. Unbelievable. You know what? I'm sitting here watching. Oh, it hasn't been given. Unbelievable. It's so refreshing being able to watch other football teams and like get entertained. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's so depressing. It's so depressing. I nearly fell asleep watching that game last night. I didn't make the journey to Leicester. I thought I'd stay in. Super busy weekend. And I thought, yeah, last thing I want to be doing on a Monday is, Tuesday, is going up to Leicester, especially when I've had a long day at work. Thought I'd stay in. And I was just like, late kickoff, 8:15. By 8:30, I'm thinking, wow, what am I watching here? It's so shit. But I think ultimately, guys, I think the game yesterday was completely underwhelming. I expected a win from that. I really did. And I'm struggling with where our next points are going to come from at this moment in time. I'm not necessarily confident that we're going to beat, Wolves next week. And Wolves are going through a rocky period at the moment. They're currently being turned over heavily now. But it's difficult, isn't it, guys? It's difficult. But anyway, that's been a short show with myself tonight anyway. Just wanted to come on here, get some gauge the fan opinion. Always interested to hear what people are thinking about West Ham. And it's a tough period at the moment. It really is. The Newcastle win glossed over the cracks. The Arsenal game brought us back down to earth, and the Leicester game was just a massive kick in the teeth, to be honest with you. And there was no point leading up to that game or during the game that I thought we were ever going to win it. And as I said, on another night, we might have won that game with the amount of chances and stuff that we had on goal, but we just weren't good enough. And Leicester were poor and scored 3 goals. That's the difference. They put the goal in the back of the net. But we didn't. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that's been myself. Good to have you all in here again. We got up to about 300 people tonight. Always difficult coming on when everyone's down in the dumps about West Ham, and rightfully so. But who knows? This time next Wednesday, we may be back here talking about 3 points against Wolves. So fingers crossed. Anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure. I will catch you next week. Good to see you all. Love to you and your families, and have a safe and lovely week. Nice one. See you all in a bit.